Welcome to episode 1.18. Today I will read from Article 221 to Article 237. Article 221. Obligations relating to collection, transportation and landfill service. Providers for urban solid waste. Persons receiving the right to provide urban solid waste collection, transportation and landfill services shall ensure the following. A. Implement requirements for urban solid waste cleaning, collection, transportation and landfill services as the contract determines. B. Provide services that do not cause impacts on the environment, health, or public interest. C. Collaborate with the local authority to solve the missed garbage collection issue. D. Transport the urban solid waste to the determined landfill. E. Be liable for property damage, public health impacts, and environmental pollution. Restoration due to their service activities. F. Submit regular reports on service operations to the competent authority. Article 222. Permission to establish urban solid waste landfill services. Investment to develop urban solid waste landfill shall receive permission from subnational administration with prior approval on technical and environmental safety protection measures from the Ministry responsible for Environment and Natural Resources. Chapter 4. Plastic Waste Management. Article 223. Ministry or institution responsible for plastic waste management. The Ministry responsible for Environment and Natural Resources in collaboration with competent ministries or institutions shall H. Develop draft policies, strategic plans, legal instruments, action plans and technical guidelines for plastic waste management to reduce plastic product consumption and waste generation and increase processing activity and exploitation of plastic waste. B. Define the types, standards and requirements for plastic products or materials permitted for importation or domestic production. C. Define the types of prohibited use of plastic products or materials or permitted use with the condition. D. Determine the site or establish plastic-free site or targets which require the implementation of measures prohibited use or permitted use with conditions. E. Promote and provide support to the production and use of products or materials that replace plastic products or material. F. Encourage and provide support to plastic waste processing and exploitation. G. Educate and promote public awareness and citizen participation in implementing policies and programs to reduce plastic consumption in the Kingdom of Cambodia by avoiding excessive plastic bag usage while replacing them with cloth bags or reusable bags, multiple item storage in one bag or compostable materials. Article 224. Obligation to contribute to reducing plastic bag use. All citizens have an obligation to contribute to reducing plastic bag use by reusing plastic bags or replacing plastic bags with other objects. Article 225. Encouragement to reduce plastic bag use. Business site owners, service owners, supermarket owners, or commercial centers shall encourage voluntary initiatives to reduce plastic bag use. Article 226. Importation and production of compostable or biodegradable bags or packages. Importation and production of compostable or biodegradable bags or packages shall be imposed with a special state tax levy. Business people shall apply for special state tax levy to the ministry or institution responsible for economy and finance after receiving approval from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 227. Measures on importation and production of plastic products or materials. Importation and production of plastic products or materials shall be permitted by the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources with regard to types and requirements, in compliance with provisions in this code. Article 228. Measures to impose user fees on plastic products or materials. 1. The use of plastic products or materials that may cause environmental risks, public health risks, and hard to recycle or non-recyclable waste shall be subject to the imposition of user fees in compliance with the provisions of this code. 2. The types of plastic products or materials subjected to user fees and target sites shall be determined in an interministerial process by the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources and ministries or institutions responsible for economy and finance. Article 229. Measures to manage plastic waste at plastic generating sites. Persons or site owners who use plastic products or materials, including homeowners, shall be responsible for sorting, handling, and discharging the generated plastic waste as required by the competent ministries, institutions, or subnational administration. Article 230. Prohibition of discharge and burning of plastic waste. 1. The discharge of plastic waste in the street, public spaces, open space sewage systems, water canals and public water sources is strictly prohibited. 2. The burning of solid waste in the street, public spaces, open spaces and waste incinerators, without permission from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources is strictly prohibited. Chapter 5. Industrial solid waste management. Article 231. Ministry or institution responsible for the control of industrial solid waste. The ministry responsible for environment and natural resources shall take the lead in controlling industrial solid waste management, including but not limited to sorting, temporary storing, transportation, processing, exploitation, treatment and final handling. Article 232. Obligation of owners of industrial solid waste generating sites. Persons or project owners generating industrial solid waste shall be responsible for the management of their waste, including but not limited to storing, handling, transportation, treatment, and final handling at the landfill in accordance with relevant applicable legal instruments. Article 233. Permits for discharge of industrial solid waste. Owners of industrial solid waste intending to discharge industrial solid waste from their site shall receive a prior industrial solid waste discharge permit from the ministry responsible for the environment and natural resources. Article 234. Permits for industrial solid waste commercial activities. Service operators for industrial solid waste collection, transportation, treatment and final handling at the landfill shall receive the permit for industrial solid waste commercial activities from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. Chapter 6. Processing, exploitation, treatment, importation and exportation of solid waste. Article 235. Permits for solid waste processing services or commercialization and exploitation. Solid waste processing services or commercialization, exploitation or treatment shall receive a permit from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 236. Exportation of solid waste or raw materials from solid waste processing. Exportation of solid waste or raw materials from solid waste processing shall receive a permit from the ministry responsible for environment and natural resources. Article 237. Importation of solid waste. The importation of solid waste from foreign countries into the Kingdom of Cambodia shall be prohibited unless the solid waste that is the importation subject fulfills the additional need of domestic waste processing investment projects. In such cases, solid waste importation shall receive permission from the government by following applicable procedures. Thank you for listening. See you in episode 1.19.